Hello, friends, and welcome to Virtual Strangers 28. I'm your host, Wes. With me, as always, Ruuts. Ruuts, I'm feeling pretty good today, buddy. I gotta say, it's been a good week, and I think we've got another good one ahead. What do you think?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm also having a good week, and I love Saturday nights, man. For me, it's the best day of the week. So yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, I enjoy it myself. I just finished blowing some faces off some zombies with my wife. And yeah, feeling good. Watch some UFC fights. We got a new champ, and I'm just in a good mood, Roots. I'm in a good mood. So these people, they didn't come to hear me talk about my good mood and the things that I do on Saturday night with my wife. So let's hop on in. Let's talk a little VR. And first, of course, we're going to talk about the news of the week, and that news being Vive Cosmos. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to talk about Vive Cosmos. We already talked about Vive Cosmos. That happened a couple of weeks ago. So just scroll back a little bit if you're interested in our thoughts on that. But Rich, did you hear that? I thought I heard an echo. I mean, it was a really slow echo. I mean, it took like about 2 weeks for it to come, and it sounded like everyone else's voices instead of ours. But I'm just kidding. Well, that's enough. That's enough. We're not going to crap on the cosmos. We're going to talk about games. That's why we came here, to talk about games. And actually, I'm going to start with a little bit of a sad news, because I have a new favorite game. The Walking Dead Onslaught is no longer my favorite game of all time. So I found a new love. I'm sorry. I'm sure it's going to be up there whenever it comes out and I play it. I'm sure it's going to be great. But I have a new favorite game of all time. And that game is The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Now, this game has been in development for years. I can remember back to when I first bought my first PSVR headset, and I heard that this game was in development, and it was actually one of the things that I considered when I actually bought the headset. Was there's a Walking Dead game in development, and this was the game that we were talking about at that time. This game being in development was probably the main reason that I bought Archangel, because I wanted to see what the developers of the Walking Dead game could do with the VR game, and that's pretty much why I bought Archangel. But that's all we've really known about this game. Even since then, through all the years, they've been tight-lipped. I've tried to get info out of them on Twitter. I've tried to get info out of them on Discord. Nothing. Not a screenshot, not a release window, supported headsets, zilch. Nothing out of these guys until this past week. And all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, well, first, I guess I should frame it up. I knew that the announcement was coming because Skybound Entertainment, Robert Kirkman's company that publishes The Walking Dead, pretty much owns the Walking Dead franchise, they released a picture of an axe, and it said that the axe will fall tomorrow or something like that. And I knew immediately what it was. People were freaking out on Instagram. What is this? Is there going to be a new Telltale game? And I just left a comment. I'm so sad that none of you know what this is. But I knew what it was. I went onto the Discord. I told people, hey, watch tomorrow. There's going to be info drop on The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. And sure enough, we got a release date, January 23rd, 2020. So still a little ways away, but not that far. We got a trailer, which you're looking at right now. We got about a 10-minute pre-alpha gameplay reel. We got all kinds of info. Roots. This game, in my opinion, and I admit I'm a Walking Dead fanboy to the max. There's probably not a bigger Walking Dead fan in VR than me. But this thing looks awesome. Am I just freaking out, marking out for this game because I'm such a big fan, or do you see what I see? And that is the the zombie game in VR that probably has more depth than any that we've ever seen by far.
Yeah, I think it's just because you're a fan. It doesn't. No, just kidding. This game, I'll tell you what. I was pulling the trailers, and I pulled that cinematic trailer, and if you have a chance to check it out, because we don't use the audio in these trailers for many reasons, but if you have a chance to check out that cinematic trailer with the audio, it just goes so well, and it's the chaos in the beginning. You know, it goes through and she's got the backpack and it gets stolen, and then that person dies, and then that person dies, and then it turns back into her hands, and it just was so good that I thought, wow, man, like I can't believe how good this is. And I saw one nail going into Arizona Sunshine, and then I started to watch this gameplay trailer, and I watched it full through. It's almost 9 minutes long. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I want to play this now. Like, I don't want to wait till January. It just looks so amazing. It looks like everything we've been wanting. Even the inventory looks like it's done right, and you can tell it's built from the ground up for VR. And the RPG, the crafting, you know, I saw there was a can of tuna, and it showed you that it had like X amount of protein things in here. And then it's got so many parts for metal can be used for crafting, and I think it'll probably show it here in a minute. And you got all those different recipes, and like like you said, there's a reason why you were seeing this when you first came into VR, and you thought that this was done, not even going to ever come out, and now all of a sudden it's fleshed, ready to come. We're less than 3 months away, or 3.5 months, and I am super psyched to check this game out.
Yeah, I am too. It's like everything that this game is showing us here are the things that Arizona Sunshine lacks. And the big difference between this and the Survios game, which, by the way, the Survios game looks great. I'm still pumped to try it out, but it's a different game. It looks like arcade action, the Survios game. It looks like it's going to be a fun action game, not a lot of depth. It looks like an arcade game, but it looks great. It looks like it's going to have interesting melee physics. They put a big emphasis on that, but not a lot of realism in that game. The Survios Walking Dead game looks like a natural progression of the Arizona Sunshine game, but you're adding melee into it, basically. This looks like the antithesis of those games. This looks story-driven. It looks detailed. It looks like your choices are going to have consequences. It looks like the scavenging is going to be very nuanced and important. It looks like, instead of being this zombie-killing badass, that you're going to actually have to make wise choices and try to survive. And the main conflict in this game does not appear to be the zombies. It appears to be the warring factions that have taken root in the game. So just so you know, this is set in New Orleans. It says dilapidated and flooded New Orleans. The area is controlled by a group called the Tower. The Tower kind of controls everything. It manipulates the flow of the zombies by ringing bells around the city and drawing them here and there and everywhere. But the Tower seems to be a bit brutal. And of course, this spawns all kinds of smaller insurgent groups that are trying to overthrow them. And so your role is largely up to you. You can help the guys overthrow the tower. You can join the tower, or you can watch from the sidelines and just take advantage. And it just seems deep. It seems like a level of depth that we haven't seen yet in VR, especially for this type of a game.
Yeah, especially this part they're showing here. Like a little bit ago, they showed where you were talking to those two guys, and they were basically asking you to go into this tower area and rescue that guy in the back. That's the dude's brother, and so because they can't get anywhere near the building. And this guy right here, he says, you know, you're a negotiator and you have a choice, and you can either say, yeah, I'm a negotiator, or you can say, no, I don't know what you're talking about, I just stumbled in here. And so the person chooses, I just stumbled in here, and the guy immediately kind of gets off guard and says, you know, he doesn't believe you, blah, 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 blah. And so you can tell where you can either, he offers you can join them and kill that guy. All you have to do is kill him and you're in with the tower, right? And then, I mean, it got to the point where I was like ready to see what's happening, and then they end it. I was a little sad inside for that. But no, this is really detailed. I think the amount of the story, I agree with you. I feel like the Survios game to me is like a cracker, and this is like the main course. And I mean, we won't know until it comes, and I'm sure it'll be a great game. But I feel like what I've seen of that Survios game is like, if that was the only game that came out, Walking Dead, we'd be like, wow, this is really cool, but I wish it did more. I think this is the more. And I think they this game is kicked it up a notch, and they granted they've been working on it for probably a lot longer than Survios has, and this is probably the only thing they're working on versus Survios, which is 2 or 3 games. But just kind of like Battle Wake for me was kind of just skimming the surface. I think this is my prediction, we'll see. I feel like their Walking Dead version will skim the surface as well, but thank God this game exists, and it will scratch the hell out of your itch, and it looks good.
Yeah, I feel like the Survios game is going to be cool, but for different reasons. I think it's going to be one of those you can pick up for 20 or 30 minutes and have a blast and put it back down. I feel like this game is going to suck me in for hours, and I'm never going to want to put it down. And they said that they worked with Skybound Entertainment and Robert Kirkman to kind of hammer out the type of game and the type of story that they tell here, and it's obvious this game is taking a lot from the popular Telltale Walking Dead flat game series that's available on PC and console. Ruuts, have you ever played any of the Telltale games?
Yeah, actually, I played the Walking Dead series, which I really loved. Just the characters and just the twists and stuff, and like you said, there was so many options of how you could take it and change it, and it was really cool. So I kind of think that's cool that they have that aspect in there, and it really does seem like your decisions in this make a difference.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going here with regards to the story. Now, obviously, that's just one facet. The action scenes, as you can see, this is the odd thing about it, is the zombie fighting. Just the zombie fighting alone in a box in this game seems more true to the television series than the Survios game, which is based on the television series. I'm not saying that this is going to be funner, but I'm saying the way the zombies look and sound in this game is a lot closer to what the TV Walking Dead zombies look and sound like. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, look at the way that the melee, that the things get stuck in their head and they have to actually yank it out and stuff. I think the physics in this look really good, and I hope it's like that on everything as far as banging into stuff. But we're getting to a point where these games are getting so in depth, and I don't know, just the fact that there's crafting and you're having to scavenge and run out of bullets. And I saw they had a machine gun, but I'm sure you only have so many bullets, and you don't want to draw the zombies, and they seem to come in hordes at you. And man, I think I can see why this is your new favorite game, especially even without trying it. It's just that good.
Yeah. With regards to the fighting zombies, they said that it's not easy. They said if you're going to melee fight a zombie, you have to be precise. You're not just going to be able to walk up and easily poke through their soft skull and just be this Superman zombie murderer guy. You have to be precise with your strikes, and you have to be prepared for your knife or your axe or whatever to get stuck and to pry it loose or leave it, depending on what's going on around you. They basically say that you're going to want to pick your battles here and make your choices, whether it be with regards to the action sequences or the story sequences, all of your choices are going to have consequences. And they said the story campaign is estimated to be around 15 hours long, which is an eternity in VR. But who knows? It could be, longer than that, because they also said that your choices have weight. Like if you choose to kill certain characters, that they may be characters that give you side quests later on in the game. So how long the game is largely going to depend on how you play it. And I feel like how you play this game from playthrough to playthrough is going to give you a very different experience. So I feel like there's going to, 15 hours for the initial playthrough, you could probably go back into it and have a completely different 15 hours just by making different choices.
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to this game. Do you feel like me that this, we ask this on a lot of games and a lot of different hardware. Will this game be something that will bring people into VR? Like if somebody's a huge Walking Dead fan and they see gameplay of this game and they find out, oh shit, you can play this on the Rift S? Oh, I'm going to get it right now, Do you think this game would be that type of a game as far as for VR?
I do, to a point. It's always to a point with these. My first evidence of that was this game was one of the factors of me coming into VR. Like I said at the top, this was one of the things I considered that helped me decide to buy a PlayStation VR. Now, it really depends on, are they going to release this for PSVR? I'm pretty sure that they are. I don't think that they announced platforms this week, but I don't think that it's going to be enough to convince most people to spend $1,000 on a gaming PC. But I think if a game like this is available for PlayStation VR or Quest, I think it's a no-brainer. I absolutely think it's a headset seller.
Well, it's funny how we always come from our own perspectives, right? Because you come from the PlayStation VR perspective because you came from that. I come from PC now. And I always assume, my assumption is more people have gaming PCs than they think. They just haven't decided to pull that trigger, because when I decided to get into VR, or when it was on my radar, for 2 weeks. I already had a gaming computer I was able to run out and grab that Rift and hook it right up. I didn't have to worry about spending $1,000. I just went and spent $400, just like I would for a new PlayStation. So, I always look at it from that perspective. So like, assuming somebody has a gaming computer, I would think that if they really like, especially being a fan of The Walking Dead, to think, oh my God, I can be in that world, and this looks so cool, and you craft and just everything that might just pull me in to getting it. Like, even if, like you said, a PlayStation VR, if they had a version like that as well.
Yeah, for sure. If somebody already has the PC, then obviously this is something that's going to cause people to go out and get the headset, no doubt, if they're a Walking Dead fan. But what I was referring to is there's like 100 million PlayStation 4s in the world.
Yeah.
And most of these Walking Dead fans, I would imagine the majority of them have some sort of console at home, whether it be for themselves or for their children or whatever. So, I think that this could be a big time, as much as a single game can bring people into VR, I think this has that kind of appeal. Now, it's a little bit late. Walking Dead as a franchise is on the decline. It doesn't have the same viewership now that it had 3 years ago. Not even close. So we have to take that into account. But those of us that are left, absolutely. And I've actually been trumpeting this game to the Walking Dead community, to the extent that I still interact with the Walking Dead community, trying to inform people about this, trying to tell them, hey, get your headsets now. You're going to want to play this game when it comes out, but you're not going to want to be a new VR player when this game comes out. You want to have your legs, So I've been kind of screaming it from the rooftops for at least a year. I don't think very many of them have listened to me, but I've tried anyway.
Yeah, it just looks so good. I can't wait. January can't come soon enough for me.
Me either. I think this is just. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be awesome. I think we're going to see why it's taken so long to get to release. So.
Yep.
All right, so let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about Iron Man VR. As most of you know, this is a PlayStation VR exclusive. We haven't had much footage of this game until this past week. We got a new trailer. Ruuts, what did you think about this trailer, man? We talked about this game a couple of weeks ago, and I said, man, this is a superhero game. Where are the urban metropolis scenes? That's where superheroes do their business at. Why aren't we seeing it? And here we go. We get to see a little bit more than that beachside scene that they show us over and over again. And I'm really surprised at how good this looks.
Yeah, the story looks good. The gameplay, everything about it looks good. Looks exactly what I would expect to see from a AAA title. And it just shows you what we've been saying. I know a lot. I still see people in the Discord saying, we're not quite there yet. And I get it, we're not quite there yet, but we're a lot closer than people think. I believe we're a year, maybe 2 years from like legit AAA. Everything's starting to port out, and it really depends on the how many pick up from the Quest and everything forward. But this game, makes me really want to play it. So I mean, I don't want to every game I see I don't want to play. I see so many trailers of games I'm like, this looks okay, but this one looks really good.
Yeah, I think so too. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately, not just about games, but the hardware, the whole direction that VR has taken this past year, largely on the PC side and standalone as well. But I think, people always make it a point to say that this really isn't VR 2.0. And the only reason that they're saying that is because it's not met their idea of what they thought VR 2.0 is. But if you think about it, what VR is now is something completely different than it was a year ago. The equipment's better, and as much better as the equipment is, the games are even that much better than the games were a year ago. So I think this is VR 2.0. I just don't think that VR 2.0 is what everybody thought it was going to be. But that's okay with me, because now we're getting better. Like I said, we're getting more clarity out of the equipment, and especially with the software. The games are really, really starting to come along, and Iron Man VR just happens to be another example of that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of feel like people are the way they're anticipating things should be. It's kind of like we just got over 8-track and we're at cassette, and people are like, bitching, this is not cool enough. Yeah, we can stop it, we can rewind it, but I want CD. But CD is 5 years away, it doesn't exist yet. So enjoy the cassette tape while you got it. Just get the souped up version where you can hit the button and play the other side and auto rewind and all the extra bells and whistles. And if you're younger than, say 30, you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. Maybe even 35. But yeah, you get the analogy. I definitely think we're right in there. Everything is amazing, and like you said, this game is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, it's not just, people are saying new screen. Right now, what they're saying to their computers as they watch this, they're saying, bro, new screens does not equal a new generation. No, it doesn't. But what about standalone? That's new? That's something totally new, right? And the compression in the software and the optimizations that it takes to make that possible, that's completely new. Hybrid devices that can work on PC or work standalone. Finger tracking, that's a new feature, isn't it? And again, even more so than the hardware, the games, these epic games that we're getting now, these were rarities before. And now, there's a new one announced every month. There's a new game announced that just blows your mind, the prospect of it. So back to Iron Man. I don't want to get into this philosophical. We'll do that on a Monday show. But, just one more time, I want to say it. This is what VR 2.0 looks like. It's just that you guys can't wait for VR 3.0. So,
yeah.
Anyway, Camouflage's Iron Man VR launches for PSVR on February 28th. So, as long as it's going to take us to get to The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, it's going to take that much longer to get to Iron Man VR. But, I mean, look at this. This game looks, it looks amazing graphically. Now, do you think that this game is really going to look like this when it comes out? Because when I see this, I'm thinking, man, this thing has to be running on a PS5 dev kit, right?
No, man. How many games do you and I specifically have talked about, like Immortal Legacy or whatever it is, and we're like, wow, I just can't believe how good this looks on the PlayStation. And this is coming with legit backing. I guarantee it's going to look phenomenal. And again, to the point we've talked about before, where every game, when we watch it, we think that looks mediocre. We get in there and we're like, wow, in VR, this looks better than it did look on the trailer. So I think this is going to blow us away.
Look at that.
Yeah, just the graphics, and let's not talk about also the movement. The biggest thing that everybody bitches about is the move controllers, but the way that they've solved that with the thrusting and stuff and the directions for flying, I think it's going to feel revolutionary. I think it's going to be something different than anything we've experienced for PlayStation VR players. It's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, the people who have demoed this game have said as much. They said that thing feels like 360 room scale. I mean, every now and then it'll hitch, but it's nothing like your typical PlayStation Move game. They say that you pretty much get lost in the game and you don't even think about the tracking when you're in it. $40, Ruuts, is the price for the base version of this game. So they're treating this like it's going to be a AAA VR game. There's also a digital deluxe edition that's going to sell for $50. The digital deluxe edition is going to give you 4 custom armors, strictly cosmetic, no functionality there. But you also get 12 research points, which there is functionality with those. Research points you earn in game, and you use those points to upgrade your suit to unlock new abilities. Also, there's going to be a dynamic theme, and you get the soundtrack for that extra $10. Pretty good lot of stuff there for the extra $10. Which one do you think you're going to go for?
I'll probably go for the $50 one, just because I think it'd be cool to have some different skins, and who doesn't want to be more of a badass right off the bat? I mean, you could say it's cheating or whatever, but it's Ruuts' playthrough, so get the hell off my back. Let me play it the way I want to play it. No, $10 is not. That's reasonable. And I was talking to a friend of mine, Rekamu. He just joined our Discord. But anyway, I was telling him about VR, and he's starting to get into it, and he was looking at some games, and like the high end ones that are 40, and his mindset was immediately, he's like, oh, that's a really good deal. He's like, wow, look at these, how good the price is. I was like, well, a year ago people were bitching about, it was there wasn't any expensive games, and they were too expensive. I think $40 for something that is this caliber, or at least what it looks like and what everybody's describing, is more than fair. We better get used to it. As we get the better titles, we're gonna get more expensive prices, especially with the Marvel brand.
Yeah, I said it even way back then when people were wishing for the kind of titles that we're starting to get now. People used to just wish for this stuff. It wasn't actually a reality. But I said it then, be careful what you wish for, because these days of awesome $20 games are going to go away. And we're going to look back at these days as the good old days when you could take $50 into a digital store and come out with a library, you know. So you can pre-order this game, and the incentive that they give you for pre-ordering is actually quite similar to the kind of incentives that they give you for the digital deluxe edition. So pre-ordering the original edition will also give you the four armor skins, the extra skins. You also get the dynamic theme. You don't get the soundtrack, you don't get the research points, but you do get a trial subscription to the Marvel Unlimited comic service, which I haven't looked at, but I would imagine that is a digital only comic service where you can probably go online, log into a server, and read all of the Marvel publications week to week as they come out.
That's smart, right? That's a really good deal. I didn't even know something like that existed. And maybe if somebody's a huge Marvel fan, they're like, let me check that out. That's pretty cool. So would you get anything more for the deluxe version? If you pre-order, I guess you get those things you just listed, but nothing more.
I haven't actually been to the store to look at it. I'm actually summarizing the Upload VR article that I read on it. But I don't know. I don't know if you can pre-order the digital deluxe version. I'm not sure. That might be a. Sometimes when they have those deluxe versions, they're physical. So it's hard to tell. We'll know more in the days leading up to this. This game's still 4 months away, so we got a little ways to go before we get there. Let's see. Is there anything I missed on this? This is going to be story-driven action adventure. We already knew that. Taking place over several locations versus several adversaries. We don't know who the enemies are going to be. We do know Ghost, because Ghost is in the trailer here. My 9-year-old pointed it out to me immediately who that was, because I didn't recognize that character. He's Ghost. Is this a VR game, Dad? Yeah, it's a VR game. It's awesome.
What are your kids are excited, right?
My youngest is. He's a superhero nut. So
wow.
Yeah, he's all about it. So
that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so that's going to wrap us up on Iron Man, I think. We're going to go ahead and move on here to a game I have mixed feelings about talking about, because I promised you people I wouldn't bring it up on this show again until I owned the title, until I had it. I knew it was coming out because I had it. But I think it's coming, folks. I think Gollum is going to be released when they say it's going to be released this time. You know, for those of you who don't know, Gollum comes to us, supposedly he's going to be coming to us from Highwire Games. It's going to be arriving first physically on November 8th in Europe only. And then 4 days later, it's going to release digitally in the North American store. Ruuts, did you find that strange that it's going to be a physical exclusive, but only for 4 days?
Yeah, and only in Europe. That seems really bizarre to me, you know? I mean, I don't know. Are they a European company? But, you know, not many things start there. Usually they get, you know, our hand-me-downs. So I guess it's nice for them, right? You get it first.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. This game physically is being published and distributed by Perp Games. Perp Games, of course, located in England. So, yeah. So it makes sense. You know, Perp Games is, on a side note, does a lot for the PlayStation VR community. They've done a lot for the indie devs that have released games into the PlayStation platform. And I think they have a lot to do with the reason why we're getting Gollum now. You know, I think that they've done a lot to help promote this game since they acquired it 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, whatever it was. And I think that they deserve a little exclusivity. So the people who want to be early adopters of this game have to get it from the Perp Game Store. And I'm okay with that. I think Perp Games deserves to profit from their hard work, especially, bringing this game to market. It's a feat. This game was first announced back in 2015. Back before PlayStation VR was even a thing that you could buy. It was called Project Morpheus back then. There was no PlayStation VR. And this was going to be a launch title for Project Morpheus. Over the years, we've gotten various launch windows for this game, which it has consistently missed. It disappeared for a good long time toward the end of last year, resurfaced at E3 this year, and it was slated for summer. It never came in summer. As summer went along, Perp Games acquired the publishing rights to this game, and soon thereafter we got fall as the launch window, and a few weeks later, now we've got these dates. So I think they're coming. I respect Perp Games as a company, and I take their word for it. If they tell us that Gollum is coming, I think it's coming, and that's why I'm talking about it here today, even though I've sworn it off. I mean, this game up until this point has been a joke, not just here, but everywhere across the PlayStation VR community. This game has been synonymous with missing deadlines. Ruuts, for the longest time, they kept showing us the old footage of this game, and we were just so worried that it was going to be a launch title 3 years too late, and it wasn't going to hold up. But recently, we've gotten new footage. We've seen some more screenshots, and I'm legitimately interested to see what this thing turns out to be. What about you?
Yeah, it looks really good. It makes you wonder, I guess we kind of get in that mindset just because we've seen it so many times. And maybe it was the developers being underpaid or not as seasoned or whatever, but something would be delayed for whatever and it would still come out like shit, and you're like, what is going on, man? They had an extra year. So we've kind of gotten accustomed to most games, if they're delayed, that it's just not going to affect much. But clearly these people weren't sitting on their hands for 3 years, 4 years, or whatever it's been. They've been constantly making it better, and I think it's we've said it before, a lot of people, it just makes their eye twitch if the developers don't meet the deadline. I would rather them miss the deadline 10 times and put out an amazing game than have it come out and be mediocre, and I'm sure they would too. They just need to get better at judging how long it's going to take, or being a little bit more ambiguous as far as the time frame you give. Now, granted, I don't know you could do that with this because it's been several years, and I'm sure they thought at different times it will be done, but I'd be interested to know what the hell was going on for the last couple of years, because it seems like you said Perp Games came in and lit a fire under them and got everything solidified, and now it's coming out finally.
Yeah, what I think really happened here with this game is we had a bunch of flat game developers decide that they want to make a beautiful AAA VR game. And they did this at a time when no one had experience making VR games. Just so people know, Highwire Games, the team that worked on this, is entirely comprised of former employees of Bungie. Bungie being the team that brought us Halo, the team that brought us Destiny. That's who is making this game. And they've been quoted recently as saying that they absolutely nailed their original vision for what they wanted this game to be. That it was difficult, that they had a difficult time working with the technology, especially, having to work with an OG PS4. That's why it's taken so long, but they feel like they've accomplished it. They feel like they're bringing a beautiful, unique game to VR. And, just a month ago, this was a joke to me, but now I'm legitimately interested. I want to play this game. I want to see what it looks like. I want to see what it plays like. An interesting concept. The premise here is you play the role of a little girl who is confined to a room. I don't know if she's confined due to illness are due to some sort of oppression, but she escapes her room by discovering the ability to possess these stone golems. So that's the idea here. It seems like it's going to be something that's highly story driven. It seems like the story is going to be, a fantasy type story, and that sort of thing appeals to me.
Are you as hyped about it today as you were day one, or like when you first thought about it, or has your expectations gotten a little, tempered?
I never was too hyped on this game. Even back then, I didn't think it looked as good as people around me did. People were legit hyped for Golem back in the day because, you got to think back then, something like this, was rare in VR. As time went on and we got better and better games, this game started to look less and less awesome. But I always thought it looked kind of slow. Like the pacing of it seemed a little too slow for what I would like. But, if it's not an action game, and it's more of a story type game, then, it might even be some kind of epic walking simulator. And I'm okay with that as long as, if you're playing a walking sim, the devs really have to show you something to make it worth your time. So I'm very interested to see how this turned out. We don't have long to wait. November 12th, just about a month away, and we're going to know. We're going to know.
Do we have a price on it? And if not, or what do you think? If it was $40, do you think it's worth $40 just from what you've seen and heard, or do you think, because that to me my opinion would be that's a little steep, but that's me talking outside my butt. I haven't seen or played it, but it definitely doesn't look Iron Man level to $40 to me.
Yeah, if it's $40, we're going to be requesting a key. I'm not going to pay $40 for this game. Not at least until I hear some reviews that convince me that it's worth that. But hopefully, it's they'll take into account. Well, it's a double-edged sword. We've been waiting on this game for so long, and you feel like we kind of deserve something for having to wait so long. But on the other hand, these guys have been working on it for that
long. Yeah, money going out the window.
Yeah, they've invested years of their life into this game. So I kind of understand, if it is $40 or $50, I kind of get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely, I guess it's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, there's two sides to it, and they've definitely put the work in. So I guess as long as the game warrants that price tag, I'm not going to bitch too much about it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so I think that's enough about Gollum. Hopefully it's out soon, and hopefully it'll be awesome. Only time's going to tell. But I want to move on right now, and I want to talk about the Minotaur Arcade, Volume 1. I've known that this game was coming for quite some time to PlayStation VR, and we just found out that this game is actually going to launch this week, October 10th, so just a few more days. For those of you who don't know, this is the latest title from Jeff Minter, Llamasoft, the guy who brought us Polybius. And Ruuts, as you know, I love Polybius. I absolutely love Polybius, and I've been waiting for this game since I've heard about it. I think I heard about it on Twitter or something. But as I was doing research for it, after I heard this release date, come to find out this game's been out almost a year on Steam now. So I've been waiting for it to come out. It's out. It's been out forever on Steam. $13. Ruuts, here's my quandary now. I want to play this game. I love Polybius, and no, I don't think that this game is going to be as good as Polybius. It can't be. Polybius is great. That said, a lot of people said that Polybius was better on the PlayStation VR than it was on the Oculus Rift because of the how much deeper the colors are on the PlayStation VR and how much faster the refresh rate is. Now, what I'm wondering, obviously that refresh rate's a big deal with Polybius because that game is so fast, and you're really depending upon subconscious reflex to make your way through that game. So the fast refresh rate makes a difference. What I want to know over here, Ruuts, should I buy this game on Steam or should I buy this game on PlayStation?
I think you should buy it on PlayStation because I'm buying it on Steam right now. Because I'm like you, like I didn't know this was out, and like literally as you were saying that, I'm pulling it up to buy it because I love Polybius and anything that's visual like this. And something like when I first looked at it and I was thinking, okay, this is cool, but it's it's like asteroids, it's old school, and we've moved past that, and this was my initial first thought. And then I started watching more, and then it also comes with another part here we'll show shortly, but a different mode with some goat or something. But it's being in VR and the visual, Polybius was so beautiful and so fast paced, and I think it might be cool to do a Polybius type of game, but maybe not as fast paced, to where you can enjoy it a little bit more. Polybius was so fast that I don't even know what the hell's going on anymore in this. This just looks like it's going to be a real retro game that just takes you back to being a kid, but bringing the VR twist to it, and it looks really good.
Yeah, these are two legit arcade games from back in the day that have been ported into, you could say ported into VR, but you can play this. It's like Polybius. You can play it flat or you can play it in VR, but you want to play it in VR because there is something unique to these games that are different than any other VR games. And these games legitimately make you feel like you're inside of an arcade cabinet from your youth. Like, these are the old original arcade games. And you 100% feel like you're in there because of the not only the visuals, but the sound effects. It's all there. And it's a very unique feeling. And again, I don't think that this is going to be as good as Polybius was, but I do think it's going to be great. And it's only $13, so it's not like it costs an arm and a leg either.
No, I think it's worth playing. I guarantee we'll be talking about it on a future Monday show within the next few weeks, because I might be playing this after I finish filming, and it's like 2 a.m. It looks good, man. I just love these type of games, and I just love anything that's retro, and I feel like VR is giving us our best feel at re-experiencing the old types of games like Defender and Asteroids, but in a new way that just blows me away every time. And Polybius, like I said, when I go into it every time, I'm just blown away, and I'm really psyched to check this out.
Yeah, so this is 2 classic Llamasoft games. One of them's called Grid Runner. That's the one we've been watching here. It's obviously an old school shooter game. There's another game called Goat Up, which is a platformer. So you're this goat, this weird looking goat thing that's hopping up these platforms on this kind of circular pillar, and that looks cool too. It looks very Mentor-esque. This guy has his own brand of weird, and it's cool. It's weird in a cool way. And for those of you who don't know, I can't recommend Polybius enough. I try to talk about that game every chance I get, because here it is. This is Goat Up. This is the kind of weirdness I'm talking about that Mentor brings to the table like nobody else has. And sure, it looks like a normal flat arcade game, but this thing looks like it was made for VR, does it not?
Yeah, it looks really cool. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that other goat game that you can get for free, but that one looks a little bit more 3D. This is it's very looks like they just took this game and they just smacked it right in VR, and I like it. Looks cool.
It makes me want to play Contra
Yeah.
in VR because you know what I'm talking about, those levels in Contra where you're hopping up those platforms like this and there's things firing off at you, and which you may be able to do. There's a program that lets you play those old NES games in VR. This might actually be what the Contra is like in VR. So
Yeah, we've talked about personally off the show about different games and Sony especially and their catalog and how easy it would be for them to just port games straight into VR, and we both were saying we agree that we're going to start seeing a lot more of that. It's going to become viable to do it. Right now it's like, is it really going to make money? But once they start saying, well, shit, man, all these things everybody wants to play, again, maybe put a little more twist on the story or whatever. I'd love to play Contra again, especially if you put it like in a VR AAA port type, they could make it really cool.
yeah, I think that nothing sells like nostalgia. I mean, you're seeing it everywhere with TV reboots and movie reboots. And I think as VR becomes a more viable platform and more profitable, we're definitely going to start seeing more of these old school ports because people want to play them. So definitely something to look out for. Nostalgia is a very unique feeling, and I think that a lot of us that are into VR are of that age where stuff like this really scratches a certain itch for us. So looking forward to trying this one out. I need to contrast Polybius PSVR versus Rift S. Now that I have the new headset, I should see, because that's a big difference between the 80 hertz and the 120 hertz that you get on PlayStation 4. I need to really see if there's a difference there.
Yeah, plus the graphical difference, I mean, going up to the super sample, the clarity of everything and the way it looks could also be a difference versus you might think, wow, I can't go back to playing this on PlayStation. It might not make a difference, Yeah,
I'd be surprised if that were the case, but I guess it's possible. Polybius is just breathtaking on PSVR, but anyway, that's enough. I didn't really have a big segment planned out for this game. I just wanted to mention it because I didn't know this thing was out already. I've been waiting on it, and like a dumbass, here it's been this whole time. So
now it's in my library, so we can try it out.
I'm definitely going to do that. Let's talk about Scraper, and I'm not talking about Scraper First Strike, which is a game we've talked about a few times on this program. A fun FPS game. I guess you could call it an FPS game, right, Ruuts?
Right. Yeah. It's a story-driven FPS game where you're it's on, well, not on rails, but I guess you're stuck in that in the wheelchair.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Yeah, right. We all know why you're in that wheelchair.
Yeah.
If you don't, ask Alex. He'll tell you why.
Ask Alex. Oh man, it still cracks me up.
Anyway, the reason why I'm bringing up Scraper is Labradex Studios, the very talented development team that brought us Scraper First Strike, announced, as you can see there, Scraper Gauntlet. This game, no release date on it yet. They've announced it for PC VR platforms. This is a game that is set to take place in the Scraper universe. But here's the thing about this. This game is described as a fast-paced RPG wave shooter, which takes place in the remains of the Refugio, an abandoned city on the outskirts of New Austin. Ruuts, there were those dirty words that everybody hates to hear. Wave shooter. Mm-hmm. And looking at this footage, I mean, it looks good, but it doesn't look very unique to me. What did you think about this? Is this something that looks appealing to you?
It looks like Evasion to me, without the co-op and not being able to move, at least from so far, that's the biggest thing that makes me worried is I haven't seen them move. And I'm not talking environment wise, just at all in any position. It's always stationary. And, you know, to be honest, I don't want to play a game that's stationary wave shooter. And I didn't notice the first time watching this through when I was getting ready for the show. But like if you're just standing there the whole time, that just sounds not good to me, you know?
Yeah. First of all, let me point out that I think that the graphics in this game look beautiful. Even for this early footage, this looks extremely sharp. And I think that the customizable weapon, I think that that's very appealing too, that they could do a lot there that that makes this game funner than your average wave shooter. But there's only so far that you can go with a genre like this. I feel like to put out a wave shooter today in VR, that you have to have something that's so super unique and different from a concept perspective that the gameplay is just an afterthought. Something like Blasters of the Universe, you know, something super unique that's unlike all the other wave shooters are out there. And, you know, this is early footage and it's just a few minutes. I want to give these devs the benefit of the doubt because they are very talented. Scraper First Strike is one of the higher quality in terms of production value. It's one of the higher quality games we have in VR. So I don't want to completely dismiss this game just based on the fact of who it's coming from. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a bit worried just by looking at this footage alone.
Yeah, and like you said, it's I mean, it's early and it could be, you know, amazing, but it's been done so much already. I'm not a big fan of wave shooters, but if I can move around and there's different aspects, like you said, maybe some kind of a different mechanic. I do like the customizable weapons, but you know, is that enough? I'm assuming you're going to earn upgrades, buy upgrades, that kind of stuff. We'll know more in the future, but so far I like you said, I'd be lying if I didn't say I was a little bit concerned just from the aspect of what I like. Maybe everybody will love it, you know. Yeah. I'm about done with wave shooters that are just average.
So say it's going to feature heavy weapon customization through skill trees, mods, and player advancement. So it's going to be one of those games that you have to grind on to upgrade your stuff. They do say that with it being in the Scraper universe, that that you're going to encounter familiar enemies, but with unique modifiers. So you're going to see enemies that you recognize, but they're going to be different in this game. So that could be pretty cool. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt right now before I try to be too big of a naysayer. It's early on. We know these people can make a good game. So let's just give them some time and we'll see what they come up with.
Crossing fingers.
Yeah, me too. All right, so let's talk about a happier subject here. Let's talk about Audica. Just quickly, you know, as we're getting down to the lower end of the list, as always, the news I've got is lesser and lesser in terms of substance. But we did learn something new about Audica this week, and this has been the trend lately. We're getting a lot of new stuff from Audica. There's been a lot of updates, a lot of new features added. Just recently, it was announced that it's coming to PSVR. Just after we did our review of it, I'll add, we were kind of wondering out loud, why isn't this game coming to the more popular platforms like PSVR and Quest? And then they announced it's coming to PSVR. Well, this past week at OC6, one of the lesser known news items that really didn't come out like it should have is this is coming to Quest. They just announced it. We're going to have it on Quest by the end of the year. Ruuts. We do it every week, bud. Is this enough to get you to go and finally lay the 4 bills down and get yourself an Oculus Quest?
Is it going to have 360 mode? Because that's my question. It should have 360 with the Quest. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I was telling you earlier, I just looked up Quest on Best Buy just to see, and there was available in every Best Buy around me, and there's like 5. And I was like, oh, I almost was ready to order it and go pick it up, and then I thought, should probably pay my rent first. So, but yeah, I'm at the tipping point now where, I wonder, is this going to be cross-buy? That's the question. But even if it wasn't, I'll buy it for a third time, because I've got it on both Steam and Oculus. But yeah, no, this is definitely probably worth getting a Quest for. Now let's address the real elephant in the room, which is shocking to me that you downplay the news of this. This is Audica. This is my baby. Should have started the show before everything else. I don't care what else is going on. This is good stuff for me. Those guns alone, man. Borderlands 3 bringing them in. No, there's a lot of people working on songs in the they've been upgrading the song where people can make their own tracks, and so that's cool. And I think they said in October they're releasing some new tracks as well. So they're continually working on this game, and I'm just baffled by anybody that hasn't played this, especially if you say you love Beat Saber. You'll love this game more. Just buy it, try it, give it time, and I guarantee it'll be like taking, going from Tinker Toys to like a full model airplane, or I don't know, some real cool toy. At least that's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I think the Quest is perfect for this game, because this game already moves you around a lot as it is. It's kind of almost like it has a 270 mode or something. It doesn't go full 360, but it moves you from left to right. It rotates you a lot. And yeah, I think it's cool. They keep adding to it. Like you said, they just added the Borderlands 3 guns into it. If you want to use those, you can. They're supposedly working on a campaign mode, which I think is great. It was really one of the best things about Beat Saber to me, was that campaign mode. So if they're bringing something like that into Audica, that's awesome. So yeah, I think 360 mode would be cool on it, but again, I don't think it would be all that much different, because this isn't Beat Saber. 360 mode for Beat Saber is a big change, because you're going from standing still to moving around now and rotating. Audica already has you doing that, so it wouldn't be that big of a jump to make this thing 360. What I'd really like to see is, 1, the campaign mode, and 2, I'd like to see another background or 2 being added in, so that there's a little bit more variety in the environment.
Yeah, I'd like to see like half a dozen backgrounds. That way you could put it on random and it would pick, it'd make much of a difference. That would be kind of cool.
Rainbow Road, let's do it, Audica. Come on.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so Ruuts, unless you have anything else you'd like to say about your baby.
No, I just I definitely think it is worth playing. Check it out. I don't have stock in it. It's so far still to date, it's my favorite game. I'm waiting for Asgard's Wrath next week to knock it down, smack it. I'll be fist bumping a shark and or Shark Man, let me clarify, and I won't even be caring about Audica. I'll be like, what, who, what?
Asgard's Wrath, Stormlands, Aspire 1. It's gonna be a great couple months, Ruuts.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Something's got to knock Audica down, man. Even I guess I don't know, Iron Man's next year, but no, I mean, yeah, something's got to be better than Audica. It's good, but man, there's so many good ones coming out. I just feel it. Something's gonna knock the smack out of it. Yeah, Pistol Whip. Could be Pistol Whip, man. Could be.
Yep. Man, November's gonna be awesome. But anyway, that's last week's show. Go back to last week if you want to hear about how awesome November's going to be.
That's right.
Let's talk about Sairento. Sairento, a game that this is a prominent member of my backlog. I have played Sairento, but it was so long ago. The game today is very different than what it was then. I really wasn't that impressed with it then. It seemed kind of difficult to pick up the controls. It was a bit messy from a graphical standpoint. There was a lot of aliasing. But this game, I can tell from the video footage, has come a long way, and it's about to come along a lot longer way because, you know, a month ago or so, maybe even a little bit longer, we were talking about Sairento Untethered, and that is the version for Oculus Quest. And we were surprised to find out that it wasn't a straight port to Quest, that it was actually a whole new Sairento game. New levels, new weapons, a true Quest exclusive, something which there isn't very many of. Well, we found out this week from Mixed Realms, which is the developer of Sairento VR, that they are bringing over the contents from Sairento Untethered into the PC version. So what does that mean? It means 10 new maps. It means 4 new weapons. Not all at once, staggered out over time, starting with 2 maps in mid-October, one called Sanctuary, one called Subway. Ruuts, on the one hand, we've got a bunch of new material coming into a long since released PC VR game that people tend to really like. On the other hand, we have one of the only true Quest exclusives no longer exclusive. Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing?
I guess both. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that it's a bad thing. I mean, on the surface, I can see exactly what you're saying, you know, because I've said it before, you know, there's no real exclusives. And I think I even said when we talked about this that was good that it was exclusive, but I was hoping that I'd get to play it on the PC, and then I was saying my guess is that they would eventually bring it, because why not? It's content, and it's more for people to play. But there is no exclusivity, you know, for Quest, so it's kind of bad in that respect. But did the Oculus Link news change things in that respect anyway? You know, I don't know. Everything's kind of muddy after last week for a lot of reasons. And so I feel like it could be both good and bad, or it could go either way, is I guess more a better way to put it, because, you know, either something's good or bad. But for somebody that doesn't have a Quest at this point and owns Sairento VR and can actively check out 2 more levels in a couple weeks, for me, it's good. You know, I guess overall what I'm saying is I think it's more good than bad, because I don't really think the VR as a whole is affected about very much on whether there's exclusives for Quest or not. Like I said, that Oculus Link news kind of muddied things, and nobody's going to really get anything out of it. People might still pick them up anyway, and either somebody's going to get a portable one or they're not. I don't think it's going to deter them that there's not any you know, specific games out there, you know.
I think it's an important point that what Quest was at the time that we did that piece on Sairento Untethered is very different than what Quest is today. Quest is no longer just that standalone device that it was then. Quest now is kind of the every device. It's the most versatile device in VR. It's a standalone. It's PC. It can play stuff that's supported by Oculus. It can play stuff that's completely coming from the modding community through sideload. It's whatever you want it to be. It's uncomfortable out of the box, but you can, you know, you can pimp it out and make it pretty comfortable from what people say. Mine's not that bad, and all I did to mine was put the thicker VR cover interface on it, and it's I'll just put it this way: the battery runs out before I have to take it off now, where that wasn't the case before. Anyway, I think you're right. I think that has a lot to do with why they're doing this. Quest is no longer just a standalone device, and it doesn't need exclusives anymore like it did when it was going to just be a standalone device. So I agree. I think this is a good thing. I think it's a good way to support this title, which is actually starting to get to be a bit old. It's a good way to bring new maps in. Do you think they're going to use the PC textures when they bring the maps over from the Quest, or do you think it's just going to be a straight Quest port in the PC?
It's a good question. I was wondering that too. Is like, is it going to look like the Quest version? I mean, they have to upgrade it. You can't. I guess they don't have to, but would it be weird, like, if you bought the game, say 6 months from now, and you know nothing about any Untethered or any of that, and you just all of a sudden the levels look like shit compared to the other ones? You're like, whoa, what was going on? It looked really good in the last level. Now this level looks like it's dumbed down a bit. I think if they're going to go to the extent of bringing it over, I think they'll upgrade the graphics and whatever they did before.
And I think this game could really benefit not only from a story, campaign structure, but a different UI. This stinking UI that they've got attached to this thing, it's just, there's too much to it. It's a whole lot of reading and clicking before you even get into the game. There's a lot of options, sure, but it just don't look good to me, and it's very off-putting, daunting UI in this game. Yeah, that's my opinion anyway. Anyway, let's move on. Getting close to the bottom of the list now. Another game announced this past week. This one's a new one to me. This franchise is a new franchise to me, but this is a sequel. I'm talking about Abode 2. All right, there's a very specific reason why I chose this game, and we'll get to that in a minute, but let's talk a little bit about what this is. This comes from Overflow, the developer behind Abode, Conductor, which I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Conductor, aren't you, Ruuts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never tried it, but it's something I would like to try sometime.
All right, and Star Shelter. This week they announced Abode 2, which is a sequel to their debut VR game, Abode. It's going to be launching on Steam later this month. So within the next 3 weeks, this game is going to drop. It's described as a detailed and highly interactive escape the room. So it's going to feature integrated and context relevant puzzles, a robot butler, so it's going to have a Higgs unit. You saw it there in the trailer. It's got a Higgs unit. It's going to have beautiful neo-noir scenery, free movement or teleport, your choice. And here's the thing. This is why I put this in here. Because it's also going to have finger tracking for supported hardware. So what have people been saying since last week? Since, you know, all the Quest naysayers, they always try to shoot down anything good that comes out about it before it's been tested, before it's been released, before they've tried it. What did they all say? They said, nobody's going to support that finger tracking. We don't need it anyway. And here's Abode the very next week coming out saying, hey, our game has it. So there are devices right now. There's the Vive Pro Eye that supports finger tracking. I think Vive Focus may even support it. There's other add-ons that support it. Ruuts, does this game look interesting to you? A, from just a game perspective, and B, what do you think about the fact that we've already got a game? Obviously, you know, they didn't just throw this in last minute. They've been working on this for a while. So here is at least an example of one developer who thinks that this kind of functionality might be going somewhere.
Yeah, no, I don't know about gameplay. I mean, it looks cool in a somewhat sense. I mean, until I read what it was about, I was like, what the hell is this thing? Because there's not much to it. But knowing, you know, Conductor, I mean, it's a pretty cool, looks good. I mean, I want to try it, and I looked, and I've got Star Shelter in my library. I've played 23 minutes, so I guess I need to go back into there. If I'm not mistaken, it's a survival game. It's actually kind of hard, at least what I remember of it. But this looks good. I want to, or at least sounds good, in theory, and it looks like something I would want to try for sure. But yeah,
Looks like a thinker's game to me. Is what it looks like. I don't know. It looks like I don't want to draw certain comparisons to it, but it looks like a puzzler game. It looks like a not the easiest puzzler game in the world. Now I'll leave it at that. It appeals to me, but I don't think that it's going to be a big seller. I think games like this frustrate a lot of people. But to me, it looks cool. What do you think about the fact that obviously they've been working on finger tracking on this game for quite some time?
well, that's pretty cool. It shows that developers are a little bit more in the know than we are. Obviously, what's coming out, probably through disclosures or whatever. So they start working on it, and I think it's very short-sighted that people immediately assume that that's just going to be a gimmick and they're not going to use it. Developers. They're looking for shit to be able to put in their game, especially right now. This is like really big for this game. If they can knock it out of the park and they can make it work really well, it could be the reason why everybody wants to run and get this game. It might be the only legit version of finger tracking out there at the moment. I guarantee that's on a lot of developers' minds. Like if we can come out with the best first version of finger tracking for people to use, it can set us apart. It could be the difference between like Beat Saber having a modding community and not having a modding community. I mean, there's certain things in life that change your trajectory and blow things up, and this could be it.
Yeah, here's the thing about VR developers, and I've said this before. Obviously these guys did not become VR game developers because they want to be rich beyond their wildest dreams. These guys became VR game developers because they love it. They want to create their worlds, their visions in VR. They want to step in to these worlds that they've created. They want to experience them from the inside. It's very much a labor of love for these guys. So if you're going to put something cool in their hands, a feature like finger tracking that's going to immerse them in their worlds even more, they're going to implement it just based on that because they think it's cool. And that's one of the really unique things I think about VR gaming right now. And I wouldn't be so quick to discredit any kind of new feature in VR hardware, be it finger tracking or anything else.
I think it's just the world. The world's like not only half full on glass, it's like maybe almost empty. Whereas my glass is full, man. It's stacked, dude. It ain't empty at all. In Ruuts' world, like everything is good, and I have a lot of faith. And like I said, Conductor got a lot of good things to said, and Star Shelter, from what I remember, was very polished. So this should be good.
You heard it here first, folks. Ruuts' cup runneth over.
That's right.
Take some inspiration from that and maybe fill your own cups up a little bit. One more item before we call it a day here, and it's just an update on an earlier story that we've kind of harped on a few times this past month on our show. And I'm talking, of course, about Lo-Fi. The Kickstarter has come and gone. Was it a success? It was a smashing success. The initial goal was $45,384. That's all Mr. Reynald asked for to make this game a reality. So we gave him a grand total of $81,188. We smashed it, almost doubled the goal, unlocking 4 stretch goals in the process. Now, I'm saying 4 stretch goals. We really unlocked 3 stretch goals, but he admitted that one of those he was going to do anyway all along. So we're calling it 4, even though it was just 3. And I'm talking, of course, about the next gen PlayStation VR port. He said he's bringing Lo-Fi to PlayStation 5 no matter what. He was going to do it anyway. He was just adding that in there to try to make it something that maybe he could work on a little bit sooner rather than later. We also are going to be getting a cyber wolf companion, which is kind of a canine that helps us, highly trained animal, or programmed, I guess, highly programmed animal cyborg thing. Again, remember, you play a police officer in this thing, so a cyber wolf companion can be a very handy thing. We're getting licensed music, so the band or group Gunship is making music specifically for lo-fi, which is really cool. And the other stretch goal which we unlocked, which is my favorite out of all of the stretch goals, except for maybe the PSVR one. Obviously, that's my favorite. But my favorite one that we actually unlocked was we're going to get a new area in the game, Wastelands. And if you played the Technolust predecessor to Lo-Fi, you know that even though the Wastelands are barren, there's a lot that you can find if you search long enough. There are things hidden here and there and everywhere. If it's post-apocalyptic, there needs to be wastelands. And now, due to the generosity to all of us, we're going to get those wastelands. So I think that's really cool. Ruuts, how do you think it went? Was this what you were expecting? Did you think we were going to double it up the way that we did?
Doesn't surprise me. I mean, his game is amazing already, and it just looks so good. Everybody wants a cyberpunk game, a true, really good one. You know, we got a good taste with his first version, Technolust. But there was more of an experience than a game. This is going to be a legit game, and you know, I'm excited to see it. All right, I'm just shocked and appalled that you didn't address, or I guess not, you did address it, but you know, your favorite should be the Cyberwolf, man. And I want to know, like right off the bat, can I knuckle bump this Cyberwolf? That needs to be like a staple in every game, because if you could see me Cyberwolfing, bumping, I'm all there. But yeah, no, that actually sounds really cool. You know, it's a canine. You know, you're a detective. You know, and one of the most favorite games I've played in both VR and flat game, and I'm starting to stream the on Twitch the flat version is LA Noire, and the detective version, and a cyberpunk detective game where I've got a badass flying vehicle like that. Now I get to have a Cyberwolf partner. You know, I can name it Sparky. You know, like it just sounds cool, man. You know.
Yeah, I'm reserving judgment on that one. I need to know, can I program the Cyberwolf to sick balls? Sick balls, Sparky. Yes. If I can do that, oh, dude, it's going to be awesome. I'm going to be just doing that over and over again all day long.
That sounds amazing.
Anyway, for those of you who missed out, maybe you said, oh, I got to back Lo-Fi on Kickstarter, and you forgot, and it just slipped your mind totally. You weren't watching Virtual Strangers like you were supposed to, and the deadline has come and gone. Damn it, you can't get your copy now, or can you? Mr. Renaud announced just a few days ago that he has set up a pre-order webpage on Indiegogo, so just go to Indiegogo, search for Lo-Fi, go ahead and buy your pre-order your copy of Lo-Fi, and you'll gain early access, just like the rest of us. You won't get all the other perks that were available for Kickstarter backers, but you can get your copy of the game early. And whether you funded this through Indiegogo or you funded it through Kickstarter, they're all going to be distributed coming up, I believe, starting this week or maybe next week through itch.io. So it's not going to come in the form of a Steam key or being put on the beta list on Steam like a review copy, but you're actually going to get access to this game through itch.io, and all subsequent builds will be distributed through itch.io. So those of you who did fund it, that's where you need to be looking for it at. Watch your email, and instruction will be given from there. All right, that said, it brings us to everyone's favorite part of the show, and that is the part of the show where we preview all of the content coming up for the remainder of this upcoming week on the Virtual Strangers channel. First of all, and foremost, in everyone's mind every week is the Monday show, and this week brings us to Monday show number 8, and as usual, we're going to talk about a couple of games, and then we got kind of a topic, sorta, and we'll talk about that in a minute. First of all, what have we been playing this week? Ruuts, what's the first thing that we played this week that we're going to be talking about on the Monday show?
The first thing is your baby, right? You've been waiting for this for a long time. Arizona Sunshine damned update.
Yes, the damn DLC. We finally got the damn DLC. It's about damn time. People are getting pretty damn tired of me telling this damn joke, but I don't give a damn. I went in, I bought this on PlayStation, and I went in to, I told it to manually download the update, but you can't tell for sure which update you're getting until after you download it and go into the update notes. And after I downloaded it, I just told it to update it, downloaded whatever. It was like 7 gigabytes, so I was pretty sure it was the right thing. But just to be sure, before I fired the game up, I went in and checked the update notes, and all it said was the damn content update. And I thought that was hilarious, because I know how sick everyone's getting of me telling that damn joke. But apparently the developers think it's pretty damn funny. And the game actually takes place in a dam, which makes it even funnier. So, first impressions on the damn DLC tomorrow, first thing on the Monday show. That's what we're going to talk about. After that, we're going to talk about another game that we've already reviewed on this channel, and that game is Intruders Hide and Seek. It was originally a PlayStation VR exclusive, one that we initially didn't care for very much, but grew on us to the point that we absolutely loved it by the end. And this past week, it was ported over to Steam, so PC VR version of it. How much better does it look? Is there any reason, if you own this on PlayStation VR, to pick it up on Steam? These questions answered and more tomorrow on the Monday show. Now, our sort of topic. Well, it's a topic we've already touched on, is the reason why I say this. We know some weeks or maybe even months ago, we had the topic once or maybe even twice before the Monday show was even the Monday show of great free experiences in VR. Well, Ruuts and I have found a couple more that have been recently released, even just this past week. 2 more great free experiences that are available today in VR that are worth your time. Tune in tomorrow on the Monday show number 8 to find out what those 2 experiences are. All right, so that's the Monday show. Then we have our reviews. Ruuts picks a game for us to talk about. We're going to have a review discussion. I pick a game to talk about, discuss. Ruuts, what did you pick as your game to talk about this week?
Okay, well, pretty much want to stay along the theme of October, spooky time. And something that I tried a while back because it was free, and I don't know if it's free now or not. We'll find out tomorrow on the Monday show. But it's called Dark Days, and it is a psychological thriller game, and it's Oculus Studios, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, this thing looks cool. I haven't tried it yet. I will have by the time we have this discussion. They gave this game away on Rift not too long ago. I'm not sure if it's free anymore, but this was originally mobile VR. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was a Gear VR way back when, and really, you wouldn't be able to tell it. I mean, it's just that card part. I mean, there's not many games that you feel like you're legit in the space where you're driving in that car, and I felt like, wow, man, I'm really driving down the interstate, and it's a pretty creepy game, and I'm kind of psyched to see where it goes, because I only got a limited maybe 20 minutes in there before I for whatever reason just never went back, and I was enjoying it so far.
Well, you know what I say. Evil games are number one. And if it's an evil game, I'm all for it. And speaking of evil games, my game for review discussion this week is Home Sweet Home. It's a game that you've heard me talk about many times on this program. It's a game that I keep going back into and out of. You can follow along with my progress on my channel, as always. Pretty long game. Survival horror stealth. Mainly a stealth game. It does take on some different characteristics as you move through this long campaign. But we'll talk about that more later this week. Again, October, as Ruuts said, we want to play as many of these evil games as we can. I'm close to the end on this one. I'll be finished with it by the time we talk about it. And I'm looking forward to both finishing it and talking about it with all of you. So that's going to do it for our content this week. As always, every Sunday, Virtual Strangers live premiere on YouTube sometime in the early afternoon. Be sure to click that bell down there and subscribe if you want to keep up with all of our content, and also to be able to be notified of when our Sunday show, Virtual Strangers, our flagship, when is it going live. If you want to join into the chat, join into the conversation, be sure to enable notifications in your browser. Monday show number 8, Arizona Sunshine Dam DLC, Intruders Hide and Seek, a couple of new awesome free experiences, an awesome Monday show lined up for tomorrow, and then we have our discussions, first of all with Dark Days from Ruuts, my discussion, my game, Home Sweet Home, and thus we'll wrap up another awesome week of content here on the Virtual Strangers channel. With that said, folks, we'd like to thank you for watching. For Ruuts, I'm Wes. We'll see you tomorrow, friends. Bye-bye.
Take it easy.